Hey guys, welcome back. It is Jaden at Mazda here at Riverside Mazda, and today I've got the 2022 MX-30 and we're going to go over some of its interesting details, features, and all of the rest. So let's get into it. So right before we jump into this video, want to let you guys know, of course, I am a Mazda employee and a brand ambassador, but I have been holding off on doing a review on this vehicle for a couple of reasons. Namely because I am a Mazda enthusiast before an employee. I love Mazda and the brand, but this is definitely a lower on my favorites list that Mazda come out with. Nevertheless, I provide you guys with the unbiased content, the good and the bad. So let's jump off in the front with the styling. So starting off in the front with the new styling that Mazda is kind of ushering it in with a lot of their newer vehicles. We're gonna check out, of course, the hood. Gonna be something classic that you're gonna see. Size-wise, is actually gonna be on the CX-30 type of size. I think actually they're the same wheelbase, if I'm not mistaken. But checking out the hood, we've got our 1-2 line. That second body line is actually a bit softer. Can't really see it as much as the one that goes into the hood there. And then with this MX-30, actually, we have a three-tone color scheme here. Polymetal Gray for the main color, and then we've got our nice grayish silver color here for that second, and then we've got our black painted roof, which I think looks really cool. Coming down to the front here, gonna check out some more frontal styling. Of course, we've got our LED daytime running light rings, which looks uber cool right here, and of course the adaptive LED bulbs here, and we have our chrome accent piece that flows from the headlights to what would be the grille, but since this is an EV, don't really have the nice classic Mazda grille that we usually do with the head of the samurai up there, but it still looks cool nonetheless. Okay, so right here we have our Mazda logo, but this is actually not where these sensors are. I know in most typical Mazdas we got our sensors right up here, but they're actually down here, which is actually what you're going to see on the CX-50, which houses things like our radar cruise control, adaptive front braking, things of that nature. Of course, up here we have our 360 cam tucked, or sorry, a front camera for a 360 system tucked right up in there, hidden nicely, kind of out of the way. And then of course we're going to get our parking sensors on the front, and then our nice LED flashers with that kind of fadeaway flash hidden right there at the bottom of the bumper, looking pretty good. Shifting our focus to the side here, gonna check out these nice wheels. So these are actually sitting on our nice Bridgestone Turanza tires, which we're gonna see Mazda use in a couple of vehicles. These are gonna be 18-inch alloy wheels, finishing this nice, almost machined gunmetal gray, which looks pretty good. I'll give it that. These wheels are pretty handsome. I know with EVs, typically they have kind of like the flat design for aerodynamics, so I'm glad they took a little bit of a risk, making it a little bit different here. But as far as the tire specs, 215 on the width, 55 series for the sidewall, so pretty thick. And then of course 18-inch wheels, black center caps there with our chrome lugs. Looks pretty neat. I'm liking it a lot. Going up from the wheels, checking out the overall side design. Of course, we already went over the three-tone color scheme here, but we do get our black matching side mirror caps here with our LED turn signals housed in there. That look pretty good. Since this is, like I said, going to be similar in size to the CX-30, I'm not 100% sure this is based on that platform, but it does seem like it because the proportions are pretty similar. And of course, they're keeping that black plastic cladding that they do. Not the biggest fan of it, but you know what? Doesn't matter. They have plenty of great features to make up for that. Going to the back here, something I really like, what they have here. In this finish here, this brushed aluminum kind of look, we do have Mazda spaced out right here, and it looks pretty good. Separates the polymetal from that silver accent piece and the black on the roof, of course. And then right back here, they have an electric sticker. Interesting choice. And then I know you guys are probably wondering, I do see two doors, but is this a coupe? Well, not exactly. This has actually got the clamshell style doors that we're going to see on classic Mazda cars, such as the RX-8. It does add definitely a lot of quirky to this quirky little vehicle, amongst the many things that it has. So we'll take a look at that when we go onto the inside. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to the rear. Check out some of the rear styling here. Gonna check out just exactly what's going on back here. Now, one saving grace I really like about these things are the taillights. These look really cool. Kind of got that Ford GT style going on with the circle tail light here. That's pretty 3D. It sticks out pretty far from the body. I'm a big fan of. Got our flasher center right there, and then of course continuing on that brake light. Okay, that silver breakup trim piece right here, and it actually comes down and over the tail lights, which is actually going to be part of the lift gate. Add some nice character to the rear of this vehicle, which looks pretty good. Checking out the bottom, of course, MX-30, got our badging right there, Mazda logo front and center, and then eSky Active, which is our powertrain in this Mazda, which we'll go over a little bit when we get to the front, checking out the motor, and then of course parking sensors on this thing as well. Gonna get 6 in the back, and it looks pretty nice. So we're here in the rear, gonna check out, of course, the trunk space. Now, this being the premium plus trim, it actually doesn't have a power lift gate. Not 100% sure why, but it doesn't. Nevertheless, let's jump right into that. Got a little button that opens this thing up. And checking out the storage, we actually are gonna have some decent space. Nothing crazy, pretty equivalent to what you'll see in a CX-30, but you also do get the option to put your seats down to put more things in there loaded up. You've actually got a 60-40 split. So these 2 seats go down as one, and that individual piece goes down as one as well. Back here, we're gonna have our eSky Active charger, of course, to charge your car, included with that. And then under here, typically Mazda would give you your spare, but in this electric car, we've got our Bose system here and not much else. So definitely a little bit interesting with the back, but at least the space is pretty modest. So here we are in the engine bay, or the bay, not the engine bay, of the MX-30 EV. Gonna go over some of the look, styling, etc. So right away you notice we have one electric motor powering exclusively the front wheels here, because this is a front wheel drive setup. And this single motor, you're gonna make around 143 horsepower, 200 pound-feet of torque. Okay, and with that being said, attached to that is a 35.5 kilowatt-hour battery. So fairly small, because the whole idea here is sustainability. Don't want anything with too much of a large environmental footprint in this vehicle. Definitely a lot of empty space here. Maybe I wish they could have integrated a front trunk into this area, or maybe pushed this back somewhere. But I think the reason they do this is because actually it's been confirmed coming later this year, possibly early next year, would be the rotary range extender for this EV to give it some extra miles. Speaking of miles, let's talk about the range here. Of course, that's going to be the biggest thing with one of these cars, EV cars, people have, is range anxiety. So this is definitely going to be more like a city dweller vehicle, coming in at just about 100 miles of range. When you charge it all the way up, it says like 130, something like that, but really you're getting about 100 miles of range realistically. So definitely people who have short commutes, maybe 20-30 miles. Mazda says most people only drive 30 miles in a day anyway, so you don't need all that range, but who really believes that? I don't know. But if it's like a second car for you, this is a good one to go. And then of course, if your commute is super short, as you can see right over the way, we have a university. So definitely for college students who don't really do too much driving, this could be an option for them as well. So we've seen all there is to see on the outside. So let's go ahead and check out the inside, check out some of the interior styling. Of course, like any other Mazda vehicle, gonna have keyless entry, advanced keyless entry on this one. It is the upgraded Gen 2, so there's no physical button, just a little indent here to put your finger. But just to get in, of course, we got a normal operating door here, but like I said earlier, clamshell style doors. So to get in the back, yes, this does have back seats. You would have to open this up from the inside, which while it's open, it does get pretty wide. So entry and exit is pretty easy to get into, but I've got to like it. It's a little bit quirky, a little bit funky, something that Mazda does best. While we're right here, gonna check out some of the styling for the interior. Okay, starting off with the door. As I mentioned earlier, sustainability is the whole focus with these cars. So we're gonna see lots of recyclable materials, which we're gonna see right here on the upper door panel. Of course, gonna have some vegan leather that's still soft touch. And I actually like this leather. I wish they would really use this in more Mazdas in general, not even just electric vehicles. This is a vintage brown style leather to dark brown. Not as dark as the one which you'll see in like signature style trims, but nonetheless, it is really cool. Got a nice gray accent stitches you can see there, a nice looking. And then inside the door handles here and along some other spots, that's what you're gonna see is cork, because as you may know or may not know, Mazda actually started as a cork manufacturer long before they even made cars. So a good throwback and homage to the roots of Mazda. And then of course with our Premium Plus trim, gonna get that Bose sound system, which is really good sounding in this car. Moving on for the door and then checking out the seats. Once again, gonna continue that theme of sustainability. Got our nice brown vintage leather. This actually comes in 2 interior choices. This dark brown and then a lighter white kind of leather, which looks cool, but I like this one better. Dark brown. You do have manual adjustment seats on the side here. And then I'll show you guys how to actually get in on the driver's seat because it is power. Pretty cool with that. But we've got a nice cloth here, recycled materials, nice strip going down the middle. Pretty good for styling. And if we want to just check out the center console, which I think is really, really cool here. Of course, once again, vintage brown leather, more of that cork theme, which we see going up. So if you actually flip these up, they turn into cup holders, but they have a dual purpose, shuts out that front center storage right there. So nobody's able to get in there. While we're here, go ahead and check it out. This is actually, it's decently sized, nothing crazy. You can fit about like 1 bottle of water in there, if anything. But yeah, moving on a little bit more upwards, gonna check out this main command dial, see what that's all about. So here we are in the front seat of the MX-30, gonna go over this whole contraption. First and foremost, of course, no transmission, so the tunnel's not there. We do have some extra room for storage. We have a nice little cardboard cutout here, and then 2 little USBs to charge your phones, and then of course SD slot if you want to put your card for navigation in there. But also really cool, a nice household style outlet, 120 volt. So nice that they threw that in there. A lot of people might not notice that or pick up on it. And then with this whole main display, this is pretty common. This is that command knob, which we're going to use to navigate Mazda's infotainment here. And this is a pretty nice size screen here. I believe it's coming in at about 8.5 inches. Same size we'll just see on the Mazda 3 and the CX-30. But newer for this, of course, this shift lever, I kind of like the way this looks actually over the standard ones. You do lose out on the option to, of course, shift up and down gears because it's electric, so there's no gears. But this knob looks pretty cool. Got a nice aluminum alloy strip going down the middle, leather wrapped, and then aluminum on the sides. So this is looking pretty fancy and rather premium. But of course, right here is another display, which we'll see separate from that top one. This is actually our climate control display, which is interesting because this is touchscreen, though Mazda doesn't want to make your main screen touchscreen. Interesting choice. But you still have the option to use the physical temperature controls right here on the side if you don't like that. I do like how they have the option to kind of just swipe up. So if you get it just right, you can swipe up and then it'll go up a bunch of degrees. But yeah, that's if you get it just right. And then you could do it that way. But you can see I'm struggling a little bit here. Of course, heated seats, heated steering wheel as well. No cooled seats in this one. And then all your rear ventilation and stuff like that. So definitely a nice touch here. And I kind of like the way it's laid out. I know with the EVs, typically what you're going to see, big iPad kind of thing going on here. So I guess Mazda had to integrate some type of screen in the form of climate control, but I like it and it looks pretty good. So here we are in the driver's seat of the MX-30. Going to go over some more styling cues and features here. Of course, we already went over the door with that upper trim, lower trim, everything like that. Continuing on the dash, you have the same style with the leather wrapped. And then of course, these nice aluminum vents, which I do give credit for. The Mazda vents are usually pretty cool. Nice little thing going on. Right here, we can see we have our active safety. We have our camera view, parking sensors, traction control, and then memory seating, because on the driver's side, you do get memory seating, but we'll go ahead and check out that 360 cam. Get a nice front cam, reels aren't straight here. And then if you press it one more time, we'll get that ultra wide display, which is cool for pulling out of like tight spots. If you're on like a street where traffic's coming both ways, you can't really see. It's pretty cool. And of course, you have our side cameras here to see how close you guys are getting to those curbs. Don't want to curb rash those beautiful wheels. In the main cluster though, gonna get something pretty similar to what you're seeing in most Mazdas, although it is a little bit different. On the left side, we actually are going to get our charge and power, because this does have the regen braking when you have the option to turn it up or down. When you let off the gas, then you're going to go into that charge state. But of course, when you put your foot on the floor, then you're going to get the power. And this has a nice display here, top speed of 100 miles an hour, electrically limited. And then if we cycle through info, of course, we have a few different displays, fuel economy, and then we can put our car in the front, which right here is my favorite. But some people like traditional look, so that's cool there too. And And on the right side here, we can see you have the option for what would be the gas, but that's your charge there, showing how much battery you have. So we can see we have 43% charge left, 53-mile range. Then looking at the steering wheel, Mazda also always does a pretty handsome job with their steering wheels. Leather wrapped, pretty soft steering wheel to the touch. I like the way these hold. They're really nice. Leather, of course, in the middle. Mazda emblem with that chrome surround. Same deal going around the buttons here. And then in the little center with the rockers, chrome touches. So nice touches everywhere. Mazda does do a pretty good job of making this vehicle feel and look very premium. Much more so above its price tag. Here we are in the back seat of the MX-30. Gonna check out the storage, the space, the comfortability, and all of that good stuff. With the roof, of course, we have our moonroof in this trim, and then our black headliner. Do have our LED lights up here, which is pretty cool. But as we can see, I'm a tall guy. I'd definitely say anybody over 5'9" would have a tough time sitting back here, but we do have our electric adjustment, so I can actually move that up right there and create a little bit more room for myself. But definitely would have to be sitting behind a shorter driver to kind of feel comfortable in this. Headroom is decent. You have about 2 inches of headroom there. No rear vents in the back. Interesting choice. And you still have a hump here, even though there's no transmission. Not really sure what's going on there, but it is there. Same style seats though going on through the back. I do appreciate Mazda for putting a lot of attention into that. They carry their design language throughout their whole vehicle, not just catered to the front cabin. But yeah, space back here pretty tight. We got our nice little window if we want to check it out. Can't roll this down, but definitely get to see something. Maybe some birds or something will come riding up next to us. Yeah, so not too much going on in the back seat, guys. All right, so here we are inside the MX-30 EV. We are taking it for the drive. Gonna test out the driving dynamics and see how well that holds out in all Mazda vehicles. So first thing I always like to note is the comfort of this car. So the seats actually are pretty comfortable in the front. I have to say it's almost on par with the CX-5 as far as ride quality. But yeah, these seats are pretty comfortable. Definitely, if you're going for a cruise, this is a nice one to get. In this electric car though, most of the Mazdas have G Vectoring Control Plus. This is actually gonna have electronic G Vectoring Control Plus. So while this is an EV, it doesn't feel like you're throwing around, 4,000 or 5,000 pounds of weight, because we know EVs typically are a good amount heavier than their gasoline counterparts. But no, steering is really precise with this one. Don't really feel a ton of body roll. There is a little bit, but nothing too out there. So I'd say it definitely going to be handling up to par as of Mazda expectations. Definitely not on par with like a Mazda 3 or Miata or anything like that, but still a pretty well handling SUV. That's where Mazda really shines. Compared to some other EVs though that this is supposed to go up against, obviously things like the Nissan Leaf, definitely going to have a lot more heart and soul into the drive than those do. One thing that we really do notice outside of the overall amazing ride quality would be just how quiet it is in here. A lack of an engine will do that for you, so that's for one. But of course, Mazda puts a lot of emphasis on noise control, insulation, so that's pretty good in here. Up here, of course, we're gonna have our little heads up display, gonna show us things like our speed, active safety, if you have our nav in there, turn by turn as well. And that is one cool feature. Another thing here is the regen braking. So you can see right there, we can adjust it in 4 different ways, to very extreme or super light. I'll have it in extreme here, and I'll just actually let my foot off the gas. You can see it goes straight to charge and slows us down actually pretty quickly. It won't really slow you down to stop to like a few miles an hour, like 3 or 4, but we can see we're almost stopped moving. And if we actually put that up to max here, then it'll just coast and let the thing roll, but it'll still roll back into the charge a little bit. Okay, so here we are on a private road. Don't have a sports mode, but gonna test out that 0-60. So we're just gonna press the brake and we're gonna punch that thing. And it feels like the torque is right there, obviously, because it's all in 55, 60. All right, so definitely not quite as quick as some of the other Mazda vehicles, but since this is being an EV, it definitely feels quicker than you're actually moving because of that instant torque. So it actually does push you back a little bit in your seat there, and makes a pretty funky noise while it's doing it too. All right, guys, so that was my overall impressions of the MX-30 EV. Let me know how you guys are actually feeling about this Mazda all-electric vehicle, the pros and the cons. Pros, of course, it's a Mazda vehicle. Handling is going to be really good for the segment. They put a lot of quality into the interior as far as the exterior design. Some of the cons, of course, being that it does have a limited range and it is a little bit smaller, not as practical as some of its competitors. So if this is a vehicle you guys would think about picking up, let me know, but leave a like, comment, see what you guys on the next one.